that a lot of our co-hosts can't be on right now. So sometimes it's just like everybody that's on is on pretty often. I'm on sometimes like 4 or 5 times a week. Aria's on 4 times a week. And sometimes it's just a lot to think of staying for a few more hours afterwards. But it would be really fun. It's just like I wish that the feds weren't meddling with our radio show. What do you think, Ian?
Right.
I think you summed it up.
What about the captain?
The captain should be on a Freer Talk Live soon.
Yeah, I mean...
I bet Captain and Lee would be up for it. They're not on that often.
Yeah, if he knew that there was a demand for it, he might be more interested in doing it. And sometimes the Captain and Lee do like to shoot the shit after the show for a little while, so that could be a little bit of fun, for sure.
They're both so fun to talk to.
So, why not get the Captain and Mountaineer / Lee, and why don't they just, I don't know, like, host it at Aria's place? Like, she did set up that studio a while back.
That studio's been taken down, and it's easier to host things here. So, I mean, there's no reason to change venues. I mean,
it doesn't bother us if somebody is using the studio in our house.
No, it's just a lot of people once the show's over, they just want to go home. That's usually the issue. Is especially if you're hosting the show. It can take a lot out. It can take a lot to do a show. I mean, I don't mind staying some extra time, but to do it on a regular basis is just like, oh my God, we've got things to do. We got to walk the dog. We've got to cook some dinner. There's always other things to do after the show.
And he growls at us if we don't give him what he wants.
Well, I heard one segment that the captain mentioned that he doesn't want to do anything like that at your studio because I guess to him it's about environment, and he doesn't like mixing his environment. Like, say if he were to do Free Talk Live, he would have a hard time trying to switch back and forth between...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did say that.
Was he saying that he's afraid he'd start cussing on Free Talk Live?
Yes.
Well, I think what he could do in that case was just, would be to play it clean on Freer Talk Live and just not cuss on Freer Talk Live. I fucked up the stream, by the way. I accidentally ended the stream when I was trying to press a different button at the very beginning of your call, so I'm not even sure if I've hit the restart stream button. Okay, I think we are back. Yeah, I just checked it. We are back on. But I just accidentally broke the stream during your call, so apologies. Anything else you want to share?
No, I mean, other than that, I'll think of other ideas, and I might call in another night with maybe the captain on and ask him his opinion. But the thing is, it's great that you guys are on radio stations, and I know that you don't particularly like when people call in and like tell you how to run a radio show or this, that, and the other thing. But I honestly do really think that, though it's great that you guys, and you put a lot of work over the years, and I'm 2 decades worth from what I've heard you say.
Thanks.
I still think that radio is just it's just going to die.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I don't disagree with you. I think that at some point, probably in our lifetimes, we're going to see that happen. It might be sooner than we think. That said, there definitely is still some life in it. There are still a lot of people that listen to it. So, I mean, we're going to keep going down that particular road because that's what we know how to do. The fact is, on the internet, it's hard as fuck to to differentiate yourself, even though we do something that's pretty unique.
And I think that going back to what Justin O'Donnell said about he doesn't want to go onto Mastodon because it would be just talking to people that already agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a libertarian podcast, there are so many libertarian podcasts for one thing.
There's dozens of them.
And for another thing, that's just really advertised to libertarians. On the radio, we get to speak to anyone who happens to be listening
like
to the
Sarah.
radio. The communist.
But there's not many, if at all, that I know of that do what you guys do.
What do you mean by that?
As far as by like having callers call in.
Well, the reason we have callers call in is because we're on the radio, right? Like most podcasts.
Well, I know that, but there are some podcasts like who's I don't particularly like this progressive person, but what is his name? Can't remember. Damn it. He does sometimes have callers, and then there's like Sam Cedar that does that too.
You think of a David Packman?
Yeah, David Packman, that's it. Yeah, that's who.
I know David.
Yeah,
David's a radio guy. So that would be why he's got callers, because he got brought up in radio. He knows that side of things. So that's why he does that. But no, I see what you're saying. A lot of the libertarian podcasts are sort of about libertarian podcasters and their guests, and they don't ever take callers. They're even if they're live, they don't take callers. So I get what you're saying there. It's just that some nights we barely have any calls. Some nights we're wall to wall with phone calls. You never really know. And a fair amount of our callers, some of them do come from online, but the best callers to this show come from the radio. I mean, every single best call that we've, as far as like crazy calls, wild, conversations, fun, insane, outrageous callers, almost all of them come from the radio. When we're just doing a show like this, we're much more likely to hear from the choir. We're much more likely to hear from people who are already on board with liberty. That's why they follow us online. That's why they're listening. And that's not to say I don't appreciate those calls, because I certainly do, but they're not the same, right? They're not as much fun, and they're not as entertaining. And to me, that's something that radio brings that I don't think, at least at this point, we can't replicate. Now, maybe if we were to, all of a sudden hit it big on the internet and become, 10 times the size or 100 times the size as far as the audience on the internet, yeah, we'll probably have some people that disagree with us listening on the internet at that point. But for the most part, for right now, I think probably, the bulk of our internet audience is already in agreement with us on most things.
Right. But it's just the thing is, with my whole point with the radio is just, you're still talking to people who are, for the most part, really up in their age, in the 40s, 50s, and beyond that. And on the internet, you're going to find more people like Bonnie, more Zoomers, or Generation
Surprisingly,
Z.
Bonnie actually listens to the radio. Like in her car, she'll actually listen to local radio stations. So Bonnie, I think, is unusual as a young lady in that she actually does listen to broadcast radio. But you were stepped away, Bonnie. He was just talking about how, on the radio, people tend to be older as far as listenership is concerned.
It's probably true.
Well, it is true. I mean, that is definitely true. Although that said, we are on a bunch of FM talk stations, and the FM band tends to be listened to by younger listeners.
But I don't want to be mean, Ian, but I've never listened to talk radio in my car. Whenever I told you that I listened to talk radio before, it was because when I used to get ready for high school in the mornings, I would listen to this radio station that happened to have a show that would play, and then they'd play some songs, and then they'd play a show, and then they'd play some songs.
Yeah.
But I hadn't listened to a radio station in that since high school. But I've listened to lots of libertarian.
Well, there's no reason for us to stop doing radio, because it's something that we do. We're pretty good at it. And I understand that it definitely, and we've talked about this before on the after shows, is doing radio makes doing internet harder, because we have to take breaks, and obviously internet people don't like that. So I think there are some people that tune out from us, because we do regularly take breaks because we're on the radio. But that's just one of those crosses that we have to bear. And I just don't think that I don't know. There's so much competition on the internet. It's like, how do we get to the point of having 10 times the audience? I just don't know. We've never been able to do it in the 2 decades that we've been on the air. It's just, doesn't seem to be that much of an audience for a libertarian show on the internet.
You could miss or kind of spam your guys' show on message boards. I know it's not a great thing. Maybe like advertise on 4chan. Try Reddit threads. Something.
Yeah. The thing is, if it's not going to happen on its own volition, then it's not going to happen. Like, you can't make something go viral. That's like the counter definition to virality. Viral happens because it just happens. Something gets spread because it's deserving of being spread. Something gets passed around because people think, fuck yeah, I've got to share this. Right? Like, I want my friends to see this, or I want people to laugh, or whatever it is that they're sharing, or, oh my God, this is outrageous. So that I don't think there's any amount of forcing it. We could spend hours every week going around to 4chan and message boards as you suggested, and I personally don't believe that would do anything.
Here's my thing. I do think that we could go viral if we had nobody on the show. Because before the raid, I was planning on making us a TikTok, and I was like, nobody is a TikTok gold mine, and he will blow up. People will be like, who is this old man? So funny. But
the government killed that idea.
It's not that I think that Free Talk Live isn't still a very entertaining show. I love Free Talk Live. It's just that I don't think that it's something that like a bunch of young people would start sharing around clips of necessarily. I think if you're talking about targeting young people specifically, I don't know. I think it'd be harder to do with Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I think if somebody's going to post us to 4chan, then somebody should do that, but it shouldn't be us. It's sort of like the old thing where you're not supposed to edit your own Wikipedia page. And by the way, I've heard that somebody's trying to delete the Free Talk Live Wikipedia page recently. Somebody sent that to me like, oh no, you need to do something about this. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's none of my business. I didn't put it there. And I'm not going to try to keep it there. So if it's worth keeping there, then let the people keep it there. I don't know.
I have
if
a
we're
countdown.
Worth taking down, take us down.
I have a countdown, by the way, so I'm going to start doing the countdown at 10 seconds.
Thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it.
I'll go back to the whiteboard on that.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate it. Well, yeah, feel free to share us anywhere you think is appropriate, and that's how it works, right? If it's a decentralized sharing, that works. If it's done on its own volition, not because of some sort of centralized decision, I thank you for the call tonight, and a Happy New Year. So you say you got a New Year's countdown, Bonnie?
Yep, we're at 45 seconds in this Eastern time zone.
Macy Moss on Facebook says, love Bonnie. Her voice is amazing.
Yay.
I happen to agree.
Thank you, Macy.
He or she says, and I'm not trying to date Bonnie, but her voice is amazing. She says, I catch it every day at 3 a.m., which is weird, but I am thinking of moving to New Hampshire. But I love you folks. And we love you guys.
We love you too.
Thank you, even though, we don't really know you. That's that whole parapsychological, what do they call it? Parasocial relationship. We do appreciate you.
All right, Ian.
Whoever you are. So, you're going to give us a countdown, Bonnie?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. 2022.